want somebody new. Impossible for me to let it go, let it go. So if it's goodbye, if you're running free, you ought to know, ought to know. You're the reason I learned to love, learn to love.
The moment I throw my backpack in the trunk of your rusty car, not knowing where we going, I'm hoping that it's gonna be far. Oh, I'm hoping that it's gonna be far. And all I see is a white view, light through soft clouds, the sun, the moon, and we follow our hearts. We see in the signs, led by the stars, not knowing where we're going. Yeah, I'm hoping that it's gonna be far, it's gonna be far. And all I see is a white view, light through soft clouds, the sun, the moon, and emotional landscapes right here, making memories with you. Sun, moon, you.
I saw you tonight, your beauty from inside, the glowing light is shine. I am with you. Oh, close my eyes, sense your vibe, being alive just feels so right. We are flying out of space and time. Sparks spraying between us, colorful clouds of dust. Coincidence might be divine. Wanna sing your melody, sounds like poetry to me. Let your key resonate all through my body. I saw you tonight, your beauty from inside, the glowing light is shine. I am with you. Oh, you saw me tonight, the soul of a child, the chaos of my mind. I am with you. Skin the skin, wondering landscapes we're discovering. All the world so new and welcoming. Am I dreaming? Are we here? Just imagine how it feels. Stop believing that it could be real. Wanna sing a melody, sounds like poetry to me. Let your key resonate all through my body. I say it's a night, your beauty from inside, glowing light to shine. I am with you. Oh, you saw me tonight, the sorrow of a child, the chaos of my mind. I am with me.
There's a place I wanna go, 15 miles to the coast, where the sun always shines, right down on the borderline. Here in Barbados, Santa Domingo, Kingston, Jamaica, Trinidad and Tobago. Sitting here under the blue sky, people here don't ask why. The sun comes down every evening, oh, the sun comes up, we're believing. Here in Barbados, Santa Domingo, Kingston, Jamaica, Trinidad and Tobago. Lazy breeze in a sea of green, slipping on the sunscreen. Lazy breeze in an open sky, never wanna say goodbye. Here in Barbados, Santa Domingo, Kingston, Jamaica, Trinidad and Tobago. Here in Barbados, Santa Domingo, Kingston, Jamaica, Trinidad and Tobago. Oh, here in Barbados, oh, Santa Domingo, oh, Kingston, Jamaica, Trinidad and Tobago. Oh, 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 oh.
Running in circles, waiting for the moment to come. There's no rehearsal when you want to reach the stars. I lift my head up and hit resume. Get me away from the waiting room, 'cause we were born to achieve a dream. So just fire away, fire away. Well, do you feel it getting closer? I know each day we're growing stronger. Well, do you feel it getting closer? My eyes on the clock, the game is on. 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 I feel I'm on the edge, testing my own limits. It's taking me to the top. I'm taking action, okay, here we go. Well, do you feel it getting closer? I know each day we're growing stronger. Well, do you feel it getting closer? My eyes on the clock, the game is on.
Why do you speak on my name? Why do you treat me so bad? 'Cause I never made you feel like this. Why do you leave me into? Do you love me for real? Do you love me for real? No, 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 don't give me that, don't give me that. No, no,
mercy on my wicked soul. Nobody told me what makes right from wrong. Came from the shadow with an eagle eye, leaving all my thoughts and my fears behind. Yeah, I'm gonna run from here. Run, run, run. Yeah, I'm gonna run from here. Run, run, run. Nobody come from here. So I leave today. Say goodbye to all of the pain. I'm moving on. I'm moving on. I'm letting go where I came from. I'm moving on. I'm moving on. I'm shaking off where I came from. Riding with freedom and I found my way. Ain't nobody gonna lead my mind astray. I'm gonna move the ground beneath my feet. I'm gonna lose the feeling I defeat. Yeah, I'm gonna run from here. Run, run, run. Yeah, I'm gonna run from here. Run, run, run. Nobody come from here. So I leave today. Say goodbye to all of the pain. I'm moving on. I'm moving on. I'm letting go where I came from. I'm moving on. I'm moving on. I'm shaking off where I came from. I'm moving up. I'm moving on. Ah, yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm moving up. I'm moving on. Ah, yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm moving on. I'm moving on. I'm letting go where I came from. I'm moving on. I'm moving on. I'm shaking off where I came from. Yeah, I'm gonna run from here. Run, run, run. Yeah, I'm gonna run from here. Run, run, run. Yeah, I'm gonna run from here. Run, run, run. Yeah, I'm gonna run from here. Run, run, run.
I don't care what you think of me. Live my life like I'm 17. Late night party lights, oh my, I've lost my mind. Glitter eyes, watch me do my thing. And I know what you came here for. Eyes down, staring at the floor. You might say go, but your body resist. Your feet start moving to the sound of Prince. Don't say no, no, don't lose this. You gotta give it up, baby. Give it up, baby. Give it up. Won't you give it up?
Guess who's back to blow your mind? But let me warn you one last time. Guess who's back to change your life? But it's not gonna be just fine. Whoa, I've got you under my spell tonight. Whoa, we're both heading to hell tonight. So don't ever listen to a word they say. It's time that you found out that I'm gonna get my way. Gonna light it up, then I'll burn it down. I'm gonna make you feel like you're invincible when no one's around. I'm gonna build you up, and then I'll strike you down. 'Cause you're about to know it's nothing personal. Sometimes good people do bad things. I have always tried to be nice. I've sat right back, I've tried to be quiet. But I can only take so much, and then I just explode. To feel it building inside, then I just need to let go. So don't ever listen to a word they say. It's time that you found
Staring out at an April snow and your taxi in the street. I imagine time has slowed. In sympathy, of packing up my heart to walk away. Still, it's all I want to say. 'Cause I learned to love for you. I don't want somebody new. Impossible for me to let it go, let it go. So if it's goodbye, if you're running free, you ought to know, ought to know. You're the reason I learned to love. Learn to love. Holding on to a photograph from the day we made our vows, and I bet we would have laughed to see us now. You're packing up my heart to walk away. Still, it's all I want to say. 'Cause I learned to love for you, for you. I don't want somebody new. Impossible for me to let it go, let it go. So if it's goodbye, if you're running free, you ought to know, ought to know. You're the reason I learned to love. Learn to love. 'Cause I learned to love for you. I don't want somebody new. Impossible for me to let it go, let it go. So if it's goodbye, if you're running free, you ought to know, ought to know. You're the reason I learned to love. Learn to
The moment I throw my backpack in the trunk of your rusty car, not knowing where we going, I'm hoping that it's gonna be far. Oh, I'm hoping that it's gonna be far. And all I see is a white view light through soft clouds, the sun, the moon, and you. We follow our hearts, we see in the signs, led by the stars, not knowing where we're going. Yeah, I'm hoping that it's gonna be far, it's gonna be far. And all I see is a white view light through soft clouds, the sun, the moon, and you. Emotional landscapes right here, making memories with you. Sun, moon, you. I saw you tonight, your beauty from inside, the glowing light is shine. I am with you. Oh, close my eyes, sense your vibe, being alive just feels so right. We are flying out of space and time. Sparks spraying between us, colorful clouds of dust. Coincidence might be divine. Wanna sing your melody, sounds like poetry to me. Let your key resonate all through my body. I saw you tonight, your beauty from inside, the glowing light is shine. I am with you. Oh, you saw me tonight, the soul of a child, the chaos of my mind. I am with you. Oh, with me. Skin to skin, wondering, landscapes we're discovering. Whole new world so new and welcoming. Am I dreaming? Are we here? Just imagine how it feels. Stop believing that it could be real. Wanna sing a melody, sounds like poetry to me. Let your key resonate all through my body. I saw you tonight, your beauty from inside, glowing light is shine. I am with you. Oh, you saw me tonight, the soul of a child, the chaos of my mind. I am with me. Oh,
There's a place I wanna go, 15 miles to the coast, where the sun always shines, right down on the borderline. Here in Barbados, Santo Domingo, Kingston, Jamaica, Trinidad and Tobago. Sitting here under the blue sky, people here don't ask why. The sun comes down every evening, oh, the sun comes up, we're believing, here in Barbados.
他们说要跟着那阵风去征服每一座巅峰，然后呢？巅峰之后是什么？他们将我捧上云巅，也让我从头来过。不让我回来的，我一意孤行；要让我折服的，我踏入光明；让我无路可走的，使我惧怕的，反要让他们畏缩。他们一直说个不停，因为他们害怕洪水猛兽，那就比猛兽更凶猛，比洪水更滔天。是将到来的，终会成苦；汹涌而起的，终会证明。既然暴风将至，那就去把那些不服的、不屈的、不可磨灭的、非赢不可的，通通化成风。这里是我们，我们就是风暴。
Welcome, one and all, to the LPL. We are in our final week of games. I am Machine. I am joined, as always, by the illustrious Ox. And we usually have 2 games. It's a bit of a shorter day for us today, Ox.
Yeah, a bit of a quick one. If anyone who's not familiar, we obviously had some games delayed due to COVID situations with the team. So they'll be pushed back. They'll be played later on, but they still will be done. But obviously, as of now, it has meant we just have that one series today, which hopefully will be a big banger. So it makes it worth tuning in for. And I expect it to be one.
Yeah, absolutely. But before we get to that, let's have a look at what happened yesterday, as we had ourselves a pretty quick day, and all things considered, as both FBX and LNG, 2 owing their respective opponents in record time.
Yeah, I mean, I remember Munchable saying he was surprised how quickly he was done on this day. FBX over IG. Honestly, I feel like that one could have been fairly close, all things considered in the standings, but they managed to knock IG out of playoff contention and keep their hopes alive. And then on top of that, we saw LNG beating out EDG, and LNG have had a rough middle of the split, but so have EDG. And considering there was one point where they were right at the top, competing with the likes of V5, RNG, Weibo, and now in 7th place, pretty heavy fall from grace.
It really, really is. EDG now 9-6 with 1 series left to play. We'll see how high or low they start in the standings. But as you can see, there are 3 playoff places left, and only 5 teams that are there are 3 playoff places and 5 teams vying for them. And one of those teams is playing today. Anyone's Legend versus Top Esports. Anyone's Legend, they've got a big test ahead of them. They want to take down these absolute giants that are in Top Esports.
Yeah, Top Esports did actually drop a series recently, but outside of that, they've won, I think it was week 4 was the last time they lost before then. They had been on a massive winning streak, right? Have secured their spot in the playoffs, but still fighting to go a little bit further, and overall look pretty on form. And the problem is, right, AL, you might have seen them in the standings. They are right at the bottom of teams who still have a hope, but they are on thin ice, and that is being very light with my description.
They very much are on thin ice. Let's look through some of the scenarios of which they can get themselves in. Always makes me smile. It's just an amazing image.
God, man.
Pandas don't live on ice. They need like warm temperate climates. They also can live in snow, but they can't live on ice because, as you can see in the remaining schedule, Top Esports, V5 and Team WE still left to play, and they are out if FBX wins any of their 2 remaining series, OMG win 2 of their 3 remaining series, or if anyone's Legends lose any of them all. So it's very, very thin ice. You even push yourself into the wrong direction, you're going to fall into that cold Arctic water.
That's the thing that's difficult, is even if they win all of their remaining series, that doesn't guarantee that they're in playoffs. They need all of these conditions to happen. OMG actually play against FPX, and in that series, OMG have to win. That has to be their one win.
Yep.
They have to lose all the other series. FPX have to lose all of them. That is the only way they have a chance of getting to that 8-win point and having neither FPX or OMG there. Because if either the other two are at that 8-win point, they actually win out in head-to-head no matter what happens. So, AL, it starts here, right? Step 1 is to win this series and then see how it goes, but definitely a precarious situation.
Yeah, absolutely. But if it's anything, anyone's Legend, they're going out swinging. They are very much looking like they have some very, very clean play coming into this one here. And they are feeling like a team that can be that upset, that can make that miracle run happen, even if they do need a little bit of luck on their side.
I think that's the thing. We can look at that recent series. They beat out IG, who have been a pretty solid performer recently and won the up and up for the most part. And also beating EDG. And I love this EDG series. I love this fight in particular. Forge and ZDZ engaging for the flanks at the same time. ZDZ jumps onto Scout on the RE, locks him in place. Forge a big threat to Viper. And that's the kind of thing I want to say, right? EDG have definitely had a lot of underperformances recently, but this series, it felt like it was really AL also stepping up and also having some really strong performances. And I think a big thing we've talked about a lot is Betty, right? On these 80 carries. But I feel like this was more than just Betty. This was the whole team really delivering.
I think that's the best way you can put it. This feels like anyone's Legend has come together. And yes, look, I can't really call a team flawless when they're sitting at 5 and 9 in the standings, but it is a team that are getting better, that are finding really good. And even this is Betty 1v1ing, solo killing Viper, of everyone to be solo killing. That is a massive badge of honor for this bot lane.
100%, and it ended up being a 2-1 in the series overall, but I love this final one. I love Chocho on this set. It's a pick that we've seen not too much, but also not too much success in it either, but Chocho really showed the value for it. And I think that's the thing, is that a lot of the times I looked at AL almost like it's the Betty show, but again, more of the rest of the team stepping up. And this was the series against IG where they went out, and I feel like this one was a bit more of the Betty show, but still the rest of the team there facilitating. We saw good at the aggression, and particularly the team fights is somewhere that I really enjoyed watching AL.
Yeah, I think that's the best way you can put it, is that we are enjoying this gameplay. We are enjoying seeing them come together. Forge has been a very, very solid mid laner carry. ZDZ's kind of found his niche in what works for him. Of course, we generally see him first pick the Renekton if it is ever left open. So it does feel like this team has an identity, has a way of winning fights and winning games, and they are just moving towards it as much as they possibly can. But it is going to be about how they come into today's series, because yes, there's some fantastic moments here for AL, but as you can see in this clip, some very scary ones as well, because they almost lost a couple of these games, a couple of these series.
Yeah, I can't say and pretend it's complete clean sailing. There's definitely mistakes still from this lineup, right? And the position they're in now means they can't make mistakes, right? If they lose a single series, they're out. And even if they win them all, there's no guarantee. But I think the thing you got to think about with this roster is it's not just about spring, right? Obviously, their hopes are still alive, but the fact that they could win today and then still be derailed by other teams puts them in a bit of a rough spot. But it's just showing that sort of end of split potential towards summer, because I feel a lot more excited about this roster now than I did at the start of the split, midway through. It feels like they've started to ramp up a bit and there's more cohesion between the lineup.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. And team that has, as you said, coming together has definitely looked an awful lot stronger in the second half. We got to look at the other side of this matchup. As Top Esports, and specifically Wayward, the rookie in the top side, has just been a menace. Wayward's way is the best way because he is just finding so many advantages, be it with himself solo 1v1 or in the team fights as well.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing. A lot of questions for Top Esports. Who would they run? Would it be 369? Would it be Zoom? Would it be Wayward? And they've ended up sticking with Wayward, and it has worked out, right? He has really been stellar in the top lane. There was a period where I felt like he was just leaning on the Graves quite heavily, but he's diversified in terms of those champs, and he's been finding so many advantages single-handedly in the top lane. I feel like any up-and-coming top laner, this split has to find a solo kill under the Shy. We saw it from Rich, and we saw it here from Wayward, but he continued that throughout the series. Picked the Tryndamere against him blind. The Shy ended up taking the Jace, which is a very, very precarious matchup. If you fall behind, you're just completely doomed. And Wayward just ran away with it. And I think another thing that I praised during the series that I want to bring up here as well is that a lot of Tryndameres will get ahead and they'll just be like, I'm going side, 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 and they get punished for it, right? They overextend, they get collapsed on. Wayward definitely found the limit whereby he could apply pressure, but maintain that lead and not be irresponsible with the gold advantage he had.
Yeah, I think that's the best way you can put it. He wasn't losing the opportunity cost. He was constantly assessing. You can see here, he knows that everyone, you can see on the mini-map there, everyone's on the bot side, so he can go for the solo kill. And this is just straight up limit testing and also knowing where and when you can go in on fights.
Yeah, I love this clip. Just the fact he dashes in, right? Does the little Gale Force to kill the Leona. Dashes out again and manages to help get the kill on the Jace. Just really excellent play, and he's been such a pivotal aspect in Top Esports ramping up towards the later side of the season.
Yeah, well, we've talked about AL as a whole. We've talked about the top side of Top Esports, but the thing that I think is going to be absolutely critical in this matchup is going to be Jackie Love versus Betty. I think these two AD carries are the pillars upon which these two teams can build, and they have proven it. You look at this, guys, and just what I'm putting out here, most played champion for both of these guys is Jinx with 15 for Jackie Love and 17 for Betty. They are fighting in this love triangle for this woman.
Yeah, and I will say it's kind of expected, right? With the priority Jinx has, a lot of AD carries will lean towards it. But we've seen it, Felios be a pretty high priority as well. And I feel like Betty so much so has committed to this Jinx pick to be that big carry for his team when it comes to the later stages. When they were underperforming a bit more, it felt like the individual game wins were off the back of him. But Jackie Love as well. I feel like Jackie Love is such a DPM player. It's like it's all about just getting the damage done, going forwards, playing aggro, and Jinx has served him so well.
Yeah, again, very, very safe as we're going to jump straight into picks and bans, wasting absolutely no time as we're going to see now how these two teams go. Remember, anyone's legend cannot drop this series. They need to win every single game they possibly can in order to give themselves the best shot. Game score does not matter as they do not have the head-to-head against OMG or against FBX. They straight up need to hit 8 and 8 and hope nobody matches them.
Yep, that's basically it. Now, Top Esports batted away some strong solo laners, but do end up going for that Zeri. Interesting enough, anyone's legend, quite a bit of respect here, right? Banning away the Rakan from Mark, the Tryndamere from Wayward. They feel a little bit more specific to Top Esports, right? And it just means there's a lot of powerful picks left open, but we have got those two major AD carries banned. But still, the likes of Felios open and available, that kind of stands out to me. There's still things like the Hecarim, there's still things like the Gwen, especially with Jace banned, is a really powerful pick, so could lean towards that.
Want to go for, as I said, a lot of top lane pressure has been taken off the board, also a lot of AD carries as well. But yeah, the Gwen's going to be taken off now as they know there's not a direct counter to it, or a definitive counter, shall we say. And the Renekton is still available should ZDZ want to go for it. I will, however, say that the Renekton into the Gwen matchup is pretty abhorrent for the Renekton. Doesn't really work out as well as you might think it does, and you just get completely outscaled. But now with the Zeri and the Jinx banned away, anyone's legend saying, look, Betty, we saw you solo kill Viper with the Aphelios. We're confident that we can let you have this pick.
Yeah, and I feel like Aphelios, people look at Jinx, people look at Zeri as being the big OPs. Aphelios really can perform well, especially when he is the last one standing of that upper echelon of those AD carries. Interesting to see what they'll prioritize here. A jungler would kind of be the standard sort of thing in this situation, but we could also see some priority thrown towards the support role. Looks like they're going with potentially the Viego. I do like that as it's one of the champions. If you lock down a Gwen, he can actually shred through her fairly quickly with a percentage HP damage. So a lot of DPS available to anyone's legend already here. Now for Top Esports, I feel like it's going to be an interesting one with the AD carry, right? They could prioritize one here, but there's such a wide pool after you get past the top tiers. I could also see them leaving it. I expect a jungler, though, in this rotation to match Xiaohao's Viego pick.
See what they want to go for. Of course, the Hecarim has been a thing. Actually, plenty of junglers. This is Xiaohao saying, look, I prefer this over pretty much any other jungler available on the board. They are saying that, you know, you take the Lee Sin, the Hecarim, the Xin Zhao, does not matter. We are happy with it. Of course, for top esports, picking up Knight with that Ahri is going to be very, very powerful. And honestly, I like where top esports are bringing their draft right now. They're just kind of gaining themselves very, very powerful top side of the map and a very solid support in the Nautilus.
Yeah, so I feel like here there's a lot of options for AL. I think you could actually take something like the Tom Kench in this situation. It's pretty good into Naught because obviously you can just mitigate his ult. But also you may want to match this Gwen now, right? I feel like if you don't match it here, you're going to get things banned away. So if you have something you want to play that's comfortable into it, it's now or never. Typically Kennen is like a safe matchup that can pressure out early. Akali has solo kill pressure once she gets the ult available. But it looks like they might be going with actually going to pick up the set, and this feels like more of a support set. We've seen Chocho bring that out, something he had a really strong performance on. So providing that engage that they don't necessarily have from the jungle. And now for me, I think probably Hecarim, Kai'Sa are the big bans for anyone's legend, right? We've seen the new Kai'Sa build really rising in priority, and Hecarim we've seen paired a lot with the Ahri for that really high speed chase down engage potential. But they're actually going to start off with the Xin Zhao. Does make sense, right? Xin Zhao Gwen, really annoying combo to play against.
Annoying is definitely a way to put it. It can be very, very powerful depending on what way you want to bring it. But because you haven't got your jungler picked up here for top esports, they're basically saying, look, Tien, we took away your Viego. We're also going to take away some things that could maybe disrupt the early game here for anyone's legend. Honestly, I think you can ban away the Lee Sin here, or maybe even the Volibear. Go for one of those again, very early skirmishes. And yep, the Lee Sin going to be banned here. Force him onto something that might not have as much of an early impact.
Yeah, and I think, you know, top esports, they banned the Akali, which is that sort of counter we see into the Gwen. It kind of goes like Jace is the one people want. Akali's a bit riskier, but can work. And then Kennen's kind of like the standard, you know, one people just tend to pick if they want to have a comfortable lane and scale into team fights. They don't actually up the ban it, though. They go for the Rise in the mid lane. So not wanting something that'll have that early prior and roam potential. I feel like AL here, you know, you could take your top, you could take your mid. It kind of depends what you want to sort of solidify your comp with. I do like the Vex. It's a good matchup into the Ahri. Has that sort of dive potential, but also works if the enemy team's diving into you. You can kind of just fear them all and provide some space for your early carry.
Provide some space, get yourself set up. I like the Vex here. It is seen as a pretty decent counter into the Ahri, but they're going to say, look, we're going to go for the Graves. We know that's what we want into this particular matchup. We're going to wait until we see the exact full picture of what top esports want to do before we give Forge something, because again, there's still a lot available to him depending on where he wants to go.
Yeah, I feel like Hecarim Kai'Sa is a really strong rotation. Like, it kind of solidifies that dive composition you're going for with this one, right? The Hecarim really good with the Ahri. They can both charge in together. Kai'Sa we've seen, right, have show up quite a bit. But they're actually going to go for the Draven instead. So something very aggressive in the laning phase. What if a Jackie Love special here, looking to really dominate the 2v2, but they will lock in that Hecarim, that aggressive mid jungle that can provide a lot of pressure. And AL probably just going to take the Vex. I don't see a reason not to, and they will lock that in.
I mean, one of my favorite calls in LPL history has to be Hysterics just screaming adoration, adoration, adoration. We know what this man can do with the Draven, and we know how much of a incredible snowball it can become. That being said, for anyone's legend, they've got a lot of ways of stopping what the side of top esports want to do. If they can kite out, if they can just keep you know, the Gwen and the Hecarim away at arm's length, they can turn these fights very, very quickly in their favor.
Yeah, I feel like anyone's legend have really powerful resets, right, between the Vex and the Viego. There was obviously the Ahri resets on the other side, but I think the main thing is in a longer fight, I expect AL to come out ahead, right? If they don't find that initial burst to engage, you have so much DPS between the Graves and the Felios. You have those powerful resets, Viego getting more ults, so they kind of want to find opportunities to either get that first initial kill or extend the fight and let it play out. But I feel like when I look at the other side, so many powerful engage tools coming out, right? They have the Draven as well, which is super bursty. The Gwen, which is very problematic when a W and her ult are up and available, and obviously is a bit weaker after that. So I feel like the pacing in the fights, the goals are going to be very different, but still should be an exciting game. I do feel like the Vex gives that mid lane advantage, which, you know, I've been highlighting quite a bit recently, how important mid lane is for fostering advantages for your side lanes, especially in a game like this, right? Draven, super snowbally in both directions. You get shut down or you get a cash in, makes a massive difference. In this top lane matchup as well, you know, Graves is going to have the pressure advantage. He's going to be able to push you in, farm up. But if you make a mistake, Wayward can certainly find an all-in potential post 6.
Absolutely can. Well, we'll have to wait and see as we're going to jump straight onto the Rift for game 1 of this best of 3. Remember, anyone's legend need everything to go in their favor. They need the win. They can drop one game, but they cannot drop the series. And for top esports, it's all about how high can you climb, how many rounds of the playoffs can you avoid, and maybe even get yourself into a top 2 to get yourself into that double elimination. It is all to play for here for these two teams. A lot on the line. And at the end of it all, if anyone's legend do make it into the playoffs, it's going to be a potential opponent for them later on in the split.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, is that AL's focus right now is just making playoffs, but there's obviously a lot of consequences when you get to that point who you're going to be matching up against. And I think the fact that they beat EDG, there's potential today here for them to beat top esports would be absolutely massive for them, even if they don't make playoffs, because obviously we highlighted earlier, there's various scenarios in which they don't, even if they do win all 3 series, still a massive achievement. And I think the roster really has blown up over the course of the split.
Yeah, it really, really has. And see now how these teams want to go for it as we come in. Everyone's just going to spread themselves out. No one really kind of crazy
CDZ.
going in. I
No.
mean, he should be fine. He should be able to just take away his buckshot and get himself over the wall, which is looking exactly like what he's going to be doing. We'll take a pretty unfortunate trade, though, as Wayward's going to follow him over. Xiao Hao, though, is here, and you do have the Ghost of the Gwen. Wayward, though, needs to be a little bit more careful. Even Bob's the crying Amubu saying, I thought this was a date. I thought it was just me and you. You didn't tell me he'd be here.
I'm going to say, you know, tracking the emote meta, that is a common one for Wayward, right? The crying emote. He's been using it a fair bit recently just to portray his emotions on the Rift, which I completely respect. I think emote mind game's very powerful in League of Legends. You obviously burn the ghost for that, but nearly got an opportunity to completely trade out on ZDZ. You see Shahab going very aggressive here. Oh,
yeah, they're going to have to go very aggressive on bot lane as we do see the level 2 immediately hit, and Jackie Love has to flash and cleanse. That is a perfect engage here for the bot lane, and we said it right at the start of the day that if this bot lane can go well for anyone's legend, it would be pivotal for them, so will it be for top esports. As we can see, Xiao Hao just playing very aggressive with his yoga. Anyone's legend is saying, all right, Wayward, we took that personally. We're not going to start taking away camps from all the rest of your team.
Yeah, and I like this when you're playing into a Hecarim. Viego is probably not the best champion to do this with, but when you have Prio mid, which the Vex will have against the Ahri, the Hecarim is vulnerable, right? He doesn't have a flash in the early levels, so if you charge at him and you can't get over a wall, right? And you have the pressure in bot lane as well, so just force him out the jungle.
Yeah, and we can see the Glacial Augment just going to slow Mark down. He's down below half health. Xiao Hao is just basically saying, I know that in the first 3 levels, you can't do anything, Tian. And he's going to get himself 3 camps. He got the Raptors, he's going to be able to take the Krugs, and he'll get the red buff as well. This is huge from anyone's legends.
100%, and I love the playing off the aggression from the bot lane. Chocho, a super aggro support. Flashes forward early, and that's the thing on set, right? You always run the Hex Flash. If anyone remembers, there was that meta where people would go Omni Stone on him, because it wasn't really about the keystone. You just wanted to have Nimbus Cloak and you wanted to have Hex Flash, and you just in lane as a support Hex Flash in endlessly to try and find these windows. And with Glacial Augment, you actually have a good keystone for engaging, so it's even better. But it's like you burn Flash early, you trade sums, but it doesn't matter because you still have Hex Flash, right? You can still pose threat. But now Jackie Love is on the back foot on that Draven. Obviously wants to avoid going down as much as possible, well, as you will lose all that extra gold potential.
Well, Tien now at a loss to what he wants to do right now. He needs to try and maybe look for something here in the mid lane, but For's just peppering down Knight makes it very, very difficult. And again, you don't have a flash engage. You don't really want to be flash charming on top of a Vex, especially with that personal space available to you. This is just a very positive start from anyone's legends. And now that we've had the craziness as such in the early game, where do you want to see anyone's legends take this momentum? They've obviously put the Hecarim behind, but where do you want to try and see them capitalize on it?
I want to see plays bot, right? Especially when 6 is hit by AL's mid jungle. That is when I want to see you go on bot. If you kill Jackie Love, right, that's just a flat out win. You deny all those adoration stacks. Really easy way to shut him down and at bare minimum delay his spikes quite significantly. So that's why I want to see the direction they go towards the bot side. Critically, I love the play they made, by the way, after shutting Tian out of his jungle. You saw him hovering mid, helping Knight crash, but because ZDZ took that topside scuttle, and obviously the bot one was secured by Xiaohao, there's just nothing for him to do. It's the most frustrating feeling as a jungler when there's no camps to clear at all, and you just feel like if you can't gank, you can't do anything. You couldn't find a gank, so he's just basically AFK.
Yeah, he basically is just hovering, hoping for an opportunistic moment, which just sadly for the side of Top Esports never arrived. But let's see if they can make something work, as you mentioned, in that bot side. Still no cleanse for the next few seconds for JackeyLove, but still waiting on his flash to come back as well. And they need to be careful here, as Betty hasn't had a reset just yet, and that's kind of hurting him just a little bit. He stayed for a lot of that farm. And yes, he's going to be able to soak up a lot more of this. He should be in relatively decent standing because he knows there's no flash from JackeyLove, but it is still going to be very difficult. And to say that, Betty's going to have to use himself. Immediately gets the heal off. They get the Gravitum, and they're trying to see if they can burn on the Chocho. Tien has to try and play bodyguard. They don't know that the jungler is there from Top Esports, but you still get the flash from Mark, and that is huge again in this bot side.
Yeah, nice to get the flash. Unfortunately, couldn't find the play on a JackeyLove. They are trying to make this happen, but they don't have Forge there critically, right? And now, Xiaohao, this is very aggressive.
It is very aggressive, but they're going to flash in with the Gravitum, but Tien is there. They get the knockback as everyone says, let's kiss. First blood goes over to Chocho, but it's immediately set up as they finally get the resets coming in, though, for Xiaohao. Tien may be able to get two, but the stand aside nearly keeps him alive. He's stacking these axes up as much as he possibly can. Knight is here, but Knight is not going to find anything as he canters off in somebody else's body. It's a 3 for 2 and an absolute mess in the bot side.
Yeah, so it's a win for AL, right, in terms of how many kills are secured. But JackeyLove able to cash in. You can see 500 gold lead between the AD carries, and that's the thing that makes me a little bit nervous in this situation, right? They weren't able to get JackeyLove at the start, and we'll see the replay, right? So very aggressive from Betty, so risky when you know Jan is in the vicinity. And yes, they can instantly burst out Mark, but JackeyLove gets the cash in there. He's happy, doesn't lose any adoration stacks there. And then the extended play, you obviously get a ton of value from the Viego. That's what happens in these circumstances. When kills are traded, he gets the resets, gets the Draven himself, and able to get a kill. But ultimately, I'm still a little bit concerned for AL just because of that cash in. But it was a positive play overall, and Xiaohao is now really far ahead in the jungle matchup.
He's light years ahead of where Tien is, and we talk about all the time how the Viego is not really the biggest in terms of the earliest skirmishing, but right now he's so far extended, he's going to have his Divine Sunderer so damn quickly in the setup, which means that by the time we get to that first Herald fight, that first Dragon fight, he is going to be so damn big. And now Tien, he's trying to see if he can make something else happen. You do now have Flash and Cleanse on the JackeyLove, so he's relatively safe as Chocho sniffs something might be amiss and does pop himself down the ward. They recognize Knight is coming as well, and this is a straight up denial onto anyone's Legends bot lane. They know they have got the pressure, and they know they can start denying Betty from this wave.
Yeah, nice lean. They get a plate off the back of it. They deny some minions away from Betty. They don't commit to it because, you know, Forge moved as well, and there's nothing worse than going for a dive and a Vex flies over after landing the ult. But still, I like the moves from Top Esports, right? Applying that pressure, looking for the windows.
Oh, Charm lands. Knight doesn't have a huge amount of mana, and here comes Xiaohao, level 7, equal on level with the mid laners. He is two levels ahead.
Up, yeah.
That is rough right now, which means that in terms of global objectives, normally we see a trade for Rift Herald or a trade for Dragon, whichever way you want to try and play towards your side. You haven't really got that option for TM, because if he finds you, you are just going to straight up lose that fight.
You can see Xiaohao heading straight over to do the Herald. Now, not going to have any support from the bot lane. Often we see supports reset, head towards the top side for the 8-minute mark, but AL feeling confident. I don't think Chan necessarily could contest this alone, but he has prior mid, and Knight is fishing. That's the only thing that AL really need to be concerned on. If Chan tries for a steal, that might actually be able to just snap it.
Maybe. He's going to try and look for it right now. Gets the eye hit and gets the steal. Massive move there from TM, but here comes the Shadow Surge. He will take away the Rift Herald. He will give up his life. It depends on what anyone's Legend can do here. Knight, though, needs to be in a lot of trouble. There's still a Shadow Surge and has to get himself out with the Spirit Rush. That's a bit of a risky move there, as we see the Heartbreaker coming out from Xiaohao to try and maybe see if Knight went a little bit too far forward.
Yeah, AL kind of happy with that one in terms of burning the ultimate from Knight as well. They also get that kill. But overall, the Top Esports, that's worth, right? The Herald, just the plates alone, is about, well, you know, with an assist, it's obviously less gold, but you could easily use that to translate into more. And it's the fact that you also deny it from the side of AL. So, pretty solid win. I'll take the steal. I don't mind if I die. I think it was a good move from Tian there.
Oh, Needlework has been popped, only one of them hitting. It's going to force the flash out of ZDZ as he knows if that last bit of damage hits on top of him, the healing from Wayward is pretty obnoxious, and it's definitely something he wants to avoid at all costs. Betty now seeing if he can find anything interesting in the river, has got the Calorum Crescendum, and should be able to poke out a lot of these different setups, but again, you can't really go for this dragon. That's a Divine Sunderer versus just a Balmy Cinders and a couple of half items. So it is getting tougher and tougher, and already the magical footwear coming out for Xiaohao just shows you, because he gets that extra cooldown reduction on the ruin because of the kills he's gotten.
Yeah, it gets it faster, and I feel like Xiaohao really is strong. Now, it's scary when a Viego's strong, because that's the thing in fights, when you're getting all those resets, there's so much power available. And I think if he gets to the point where he can just shred through Tiana Wayward, it's going to make fights extremely difficult to handle. Time being, both teams trying to posture around Dragon, get some vision, but neither really committing too heavily. Do see Jojo take a bit of damage, but I don't think he really cares that much. It's going to be interesting to see where the Herald is used. Typically, I'm fine with the Herald being used mid for 2 plates, then the second one will get you the full tower. If you're able to secure the second one. But for me, for top esports, I really feel like Snowball in the bot lane should be the big thing, right? You have a Draven there, right? If you can make that heavy play down on the bot side, there's already 1 plate down. You should be able to take the whole tower. If Jackie Love gets that gold, I mean, it goes without saying how well Draven scales with gold, right? His damage just becomes insane because of the massive AD ratio that his axes have.
Wish I could read that and figure out what those stats mean, but sadly I cannot. So no idea what it says, but yeah, I completely agree. I think it's going to be about this Draven keeping himself safe. You now have flashback for Betty. Pretty much summoners across the board apart from on the top side, so no TP is going to be coming in. This could be just a 3v3 or a 4v4 as both mid laners on the mid-map start to path their way down. Mark is a little bit extended and needs to be backing himself away. They might try and find an engage if they can. The hook misses completely. The Xiaohao now, we're going to see the ultimates coming in. There's the Shadow Surge, gets the double fear off, and Mark has to get himself away. They've already used every single ultimate in this fight to get on top of the 2 carries as they try and turn back on top of this. Betty flashes over, but it's not enough. Mark gets himself into stasis before the resets can come in. And now look at Jackie Love, still alive, still putting out damage, and it's all top esports all the time. Triple kill for TN and a little bit of redemption.
And that's everything. Turn around, right? Xiaohao was so far ahead, but not able to find the momentum in that fight. It felt like AL approached it pretty rough, and so many low health bars. Critically, they don't kill Jackie Love. Look at the bottom left of your screen, 194 stacks. That's 400 gold if he was able to cash in. And now, that's the consolation prize, right? Draven didn't cash in, otherwise things would be far worse. The fact that he's able to stay alive, the fact they win out that team fight so heavily, huge for the side of top esports. Look at that replay. And I just feel like top esports, you know, it's a little bit messy at first, but then this engage comes in from Forge. If the follow-up isn't there, they look so split. They're getting corralled in, and then this huge ultimate comes in. The great hook from Betty to find onto Betty, sorry. And it's like Xiaohao, if he gets a reset here, it makes such a big difference. But just like look at the health bars of the bot lane of top esports, right? It came down those sort of minute little moments, right? Missing out a little bit of damage. And as a result, AL end up losing out.
Big shift to gold as well. Triple kill for TN was absolutely huge to try and get him back into this matchup. And he is very much back into it. You know, I would actually look at the gold right now. He's ahead by 800. Let's have a look at the quick check at where everything is
triple
going.
kill will do that.
Yeah, triple kill tends to do that sometimes. You got 600 now, maybe even 700 into the mid lane. You have about 1,200 now on the bot side. It's huge advantages here for the carries on the side of top esports. Yeah, and he hasn't even gotten the cash in yet.
It's 1,800 now. It's pre-cash in. If Jackie Love gets a cash in, he's going to be like 3k gold up, and it's going to be insane. It's just the thing is as well, because it's a Aphelios, right? If it's a Jinx, there's scenarios where you can sort of attack Draven when he can't attack you, like play around that range. The problem is, because Aphelios isn't that long range like Calibrum, it's gonna be like if you're in range to auto Jackie Love and you hit him like 3 times and he autos you once, you'll win the trade.
Yep.
2 items already completed. And again, I keep saying this, pre-cash in. If he gets another kill and cashes that in with the stacks he has, This game just
IE.
feels doomed. Yeah.
He probably just ends up with like, well, I would
Full build.
Yeah, full build. Oh my god, the game is over. I'm just gonna put a caveat on me saying he won't go IE second because you need at minimum 60% critical damage for
hope
IE
he
to do
wouldn't.
anything. Yeah, I'm just doing a PSA to everyone in chat that's everyone's like, oh yeah, Draven third item after Essence Reaver. No, don't do that. That's a bad
it'll be,
build. And do not do that.
It'll probably be collector into IE,
Yes,
I would imagine.
that's what I'm
So
thinking.
you get the nice mix of lethality and crit. I think the thing is, like, crit's kind of a weird one for Draven because obviously, like, crit is good on any 80 carry and you want to do those big crit axes, but the damage on your Q can't act, the extra damage can't actually crit itself, right? Your base auto crits, the extra damage doesn't, which is why the lethality is such a strong 80 spike and we see like Eclipse picked up because that huge extra axe damage is obviously affected by armor pen.
Yeah, absolutely is. Now we'll see with Top Esports having full control of this top side. They are going to try and secure themselves the Rift Tower. But will they take the fight afterwards? There's a flash in. They're trying to see if Forge can make something happen. But again, like last time, there's no one there to follow up with him. And he's just going to be taken down. So that's one kill and a cash out that we talked about as the rest of Top Esports keep pushing forward. Wayward TP on the backside. And with Knight cleaning up these kills, anyone's legend are routed.
Yeah, I mean, Jackie Love got the cash in. We were talking it up. It's a pretty rough one now. Hell's going to go down mid. I don't think ZDZ can defend too easily. They should just be able to get this mid lane tier 1, really open up the map and be able to snowball more. And things are starting to fall apart for AL. Remember, they can afford to lose this game, right? It's not the end of the world if they lose this game. But if they lose this series, they are out of playoff contention. And it means as much as they'll still have series left to play, their spring split will end with the regular season. So, you know, rough position now, but still looking to find header. We can see the replay. Chocho tries to find a big engage, but doesn't really connect that well onto the right targets. And then Jackie Love is just free hitting from the backside. The re-engage comes in. And with this much of a goal discrepancy, it's just so easy for Top Esports.
I feel like this is the momentum is very much with Top Esports. This game is running away from anyone's legends right now. AL have very little tools to come back in on top of this, and we will see not quite the full item from the cash in, but it is a serrated
He had to
dirt
buy his
on
boots,
top.
right?
Yeah, and he had to buy his boots, so you know
He
we
had to
don't
get
know
his
how much
sneakers.
he has. Oh, Betty's dead.
Oh, man.
Betty's dead. Don't think. Oh, never mind. Knight's gonna miss pretty much everything, but he's still gonna get the
Yeah,
reset.
I think-
So it's all good.
I think he expected a flash over the wall to come in, so he threw the charm in that direction to be ready. And then just didn't come, but it doesn't matter. That's the great thing about Ari is when you're like fed enough that you don't even need to hit your skill shot.
Yeah, you just need to do whatever the hell. Like,
You
doesn't
just
matter.
put RW and just, yeah, it's kind of a... And Betty having a rough one right now. 0-4-2 on the Aphelios. Not the greatest performance, right? And a struggle right now. And it's 6k goal deficit at 17 minutes. I'm just going to say it. This game looks very painful. It really is going to come down from an overstep or a mistake from Top Esports, right? If someone goes too deep, if we get a kill from where Xiaohao is able to get a reset, because bear in mind, right, we're talking about how fed these members of Top Esports are. Xiaohao uses his passive, then he becomes a fed champion.
Ah, Uno reverse card.
That's the strategy, right? That's why that's why it's okay when your teammates feed when you're playing Viego.
Yep. I mean, Viego is one of those champions that can just turn it around and set yourself and your team up for success as we come back into the game. Top Esports get themselves their second dragon of the game. This is the thing as well. Normally we see a team to say, look, we're gonna tank our gold a little bit so that you get Rift Heralds, we get dragons, and then we'll have a little bit of a win condition later. Top Esports haven't had to do that. Top Esports got themselves the first Rift Herald, they got themselves the second Rift Herald, they even got themselves the 2 dragons as well. So this is just objectives galore here for Top Esports, and anyone's legend don't have a response.
Yeah, it's pretty rough. And now we see Jan as well with the strong combo, the Chem Tank and the Dead Man's Plate. So obviously this is a tanky Hecarim, hard to kill. But with this combo, you actually do a lot of burst damage on that first auto. So pretty scary. I like this from AL though. They have objective bounties available or the cash to be picked up on the map. And they're looking to cross map, right? They know they can't match Top Esports head on. So trying to find an angle here.
They're going to go for it right now, but he doesn't quite land the stun. Chocho cannot tank up anymore. This is a Gwen. This is a Gwen. This is a Gwen. Wayward. We talked about how good this guy has been playing, and finally he gets taken down. But not while this has all been happening. And in the top side of the map, the Vex is just deleted. Jackie Love is going to be able to break open the base. We're not even 20 minutes into the game.
You know, they get a kill, they get a tower. It's a little bit messy. Wayward with the emotes again. Question in the play. But at the end of the day, they lose out that tier 2 mid and the inhibitor tower. Now they're going to rotate up towards top. Forge goes down. The Hecarim, full tank, just slams in, blows them up. There's not much you can really do. And things are going from bad to worse from AL. It's the right play, though. It was the correct play to go bot side. The problem is Top Esports just aren't hesitating.
And that's the big thing. Like you said, you're 6,000, 7,000 gold behind. There's not really many opportunities for you. He's got a picture-in-picture, and yeah, he just gets caught and blown up. That's it. There's nothing else to talk about in that replay. He dies.
Yep, that is an apt description. Not really feel like I have anything to add onto that one. You know, have Jackie Love picking up the collector. Yeah, that is a scare. I just, you know, I always get fascinated by these moments because I kind of know how much damage like different champions can do, right? You know, but I just love seeing when there's like a Fed Draven, him throw an axe at someone, and it still catches me off guard when they lose like 60% of the HP. Look at the item differential between the AD carries, right? Like,
just,
yeah,
it's absurd. It's absurd. To
yeah.
think that it's not even items as well. If you look across the board, there's level
2 levels up,
advantages.
yeah.
Yeah, like it's just the base stats are just not there.
Got a World Championship title on him as well. It's like,
I know, right? looking like he wants another LPL Championship title as he's really kind of coming up. So there is a lot to be said. And for Top Esports, you know, it is just basically smack them with your wallets. You know, there's not really any other reason to do it. And I feel like ZDZ, you're overextended here, buddy. I don't think you're going to be able to get out.
And he's pretty farmed up, right? Oh, yeah, he's gone now because he's no CC
out.
from the Gwen.
Ooh, night, buddy. Come on, man. Even I knew that was going to be too long.
Yeah.
Come on. Okay.
He's, you know, you miss every shot you don't take. I think that's the view we got to take on this one. I will say,
sometimes you shouldn't take the shot.
ZDZ has been farming up a fair bit and is actually pretty strong, right? He's got a CS lead, two and a bit items completed, so he's actually relevant. Problem is, it's just so difficult for him to find headway in these fights. Now, Top Esports looking towards the Baron. They want to bait them in. They want to start a fight, and they have the comp to do so with the Hecarim. I don't think they'll do it now because obviously the ult from Knight is on cooldown. But it's basically the play pattern, right? Set up an objective, get AL to move towards you, charge him down. Because no one can really escape from this Hecarim Ahri. And that's kind of the power in this duo, is when it comes to this mid-game, you see a target, and as long as they're within like 2-3 screens, you just charge them. They can't get away. Yeah,
I think that's just how, you know, we could talk about how anyone's legend get back into this or how Top Esports end this game. Realistically, this is Top Esports smacking the side of anyone's legend with their wallet. It's going to take multiple mistakes from Top Esports for anyone legends to come back into us. They need to try and catch Jackie Love out on a big engage, get those resets for Xiaohao. Forge gets on the backside with a perfect Shadow Surge and the doom and gloom fear as well. But that's a lot of if, buts, and maybes. And we talked about how Xiaohao was the amazing shining light right at the start of this game. He's actually behind in terms of items just because of the amount of global gold that Top Esports have been able to give over to TN after that triple kill.
Plus, part of the power of the Hecarim is your items are cheap, right, as those tank items. Do you see Jackie Love picking up a Zeal? Probably going to go for a rapid fire just for those longer range autos, delaying the IE, but honestly, he's still doing more than enough damage. I think that's the difficulty, right? At this point, it really is desperation for AL in this game. It's kind of finding, as I said, a mistake. Top Esports need someone to overstep. The resets need to come in, and that's how they find the momentum. But for now, Top Esports are kind of playing it safe, right? Just going to pick up this dragon on this side. Knight actually could. Yeah, not enough damage to kill Chocho, but a lot of threat there.
You know what I noticed?
What did you notice?
The way the dragons have lined up, if you read them from right, it's Earth. Do you remember the 21st night of September?
Yeah.
Am I a boomer? Is that just not a song you know?
I mean, I know the reference. I just
September. No.
Dude, it's March. Like,
but I'm not. Yeah, September has happened. That's why I'm asking if you remembered.
I mean, a lot of Septembers have happened, man. It's been a while.
That's what I'm asking.
Do you actually remember what you were doing on that night of September? Like, in all honesty?
No.
Right, exactly. So you don't.
Unless I got engaged or like had a kid, it's not going to be a very memorable day. As Chocho gets assassinated, we have a look at the picture-in-picture. The top laners are going in, but the minions are coming to give a little bit of support there to ZDZ, who gets his Immortal Shield Bow popped. Now they're actually just trying pushing him back down. I will say the Graves is doing very well on his own little setup right now to try and just keep this Gwen from doing anything in these fights.
Yeah, if this was a 1v1, ZDZ would be vibing. Unfortunately, it isn't. It's 5v5, and the rest of the top esports are starting Baron.
It's 4v3. Remember, Chocho got assassinated as Mark tries to play keep away. They're going to try to pop down the Volt there to try and keep away Chocho. Excuse me, from Chow Hao, I should say. Is he going to go back in on the thing? They're going to take it. It's a flip. Oh my God! Anyone's Legend, get it. How do you let that happen, Top Esports? That is egregiously bad.
Oh my God, that ZDZ just takes the bot lane tier 2. And okay, the game is still in favor of Top Esports by all means, but man, that was messy. 2 objective bounties cashed in, the extra gold from the side lane tier 2. And they get the Baron as well. You have an Ari, dude. I feel like Knight should have just been playing bodyguard to stop Xiao from getting in the pit. What's even more egregious is he came in the pit and he kind of just sat there.
Yeah,
right?
no one looked at him.
Oh, look at the replay. I just found it hilarious, but man, it's yeah. So like, you know, Mark was trying to play bodyguard and Knight was, and then they just retreat with the Baron at 2k HP, and Xiao comes in and Shan's like, bro. And it's actually hilariously enough the Aphelios who gets the steal with the ultimate, but yeah. Messy.
Oh, man. But, like, again, this is the thing where Top Esports looks so good, looks so dominant. And then, as I mentioned, Anyone's Legend, the only way they get back into this series is from a massive mistake. Like a Baron Swift, like not respecting the fact
more
that,
objective bounties as well now, look.
Yeah, like you're going, like fair enough, the gold is getting smaller and smaller, and now you're on 2.5 items on the Aphelios, now you're on 3 items for the Graves, 2 items onto the Vex with that Void Staff makes it very relevant. By the time 2 minutes is up and this Dragon happens, and actually as I say this, you can see this Graves just constantly pushing in. This is... I'm not saying it's not going to still be a Top Esports win, it's still very much their game to lose, but they might actually lose it.
Yeah, I mean, they've given AL a pretty solid chance with this one. The critical thing is, right, Gwen obviously scales exceptionally. Draven, one of the problems is that, like, you want to be ahead of the curve, right? He's 4 items to Betty's 2.5. There will eventually come a point where Jackie Love runs out of item slots, right? And he's full build. He doesn't get any stronger after that. The Hecarim, obviously, after a point, the damage is less relevant because you're full tank, but you're still strong in fights for the CC. But the Ahri is something we've seen fall off, like, in the later stages quite significantly. So this is definitely a game that AL, you know, they've been given an opportunity. They're still a while away, right? They're still pretty significantly down in gold, but Top Esports has given them hope.
I hope is playing for RA, but he's actually in this game at all times for Anyone's Legends. It's an incredible scene right now, as we can see. Top Esports just controlling the bot side of the jungle. Like we said, it is going to be on Anyone's Legends to find these very small windows of opportunity, but if the enemy team opens that window a little wider, you'll take that no problem whatsoever. They are coming now up into this Dragon. It is going to be pretty much the soul here for Top Esports as Wayward, gets himself onto the backside, and they know that there's got to be something up here as ZDZ. Yeah, you want to back away, buddy, and this is what I expected to see from Top Esports. Slow, methodical, just throw your wallet at these people, smack them down with it, and make sure that they just haven't got a chance to steal this objective.
And the problem is now, right, you've seen AL wanted to fight this. If you look at the inventories, both Forge and Betty bought stopwatches. They're investing into this fight specifically, but it's very difficult for them to approach, right? Have to force through quickly when they don't have vision. It allows Windows 4 flanks to come in. You can see Wayward waiting on the side. And there we go. Let's engage.
Here we go. They're going to try and maybe look for it. Tien is hovering, thinking about the idea, but they will get the Haymaker out. There's the Moonlight Vigil to do some damage, but the support from AL has been taken out first. You got Wayward on the backside doing needlework and getting work. Double kill there for Jackie Love. A triple kill for the Draven. The Shadow Surge, not enough to take down Wayward, and that's going to be all she wrote. There is a small glimmer of hope in this game for Anyone's Legend, but that's all it was. And now Top Esports should be able to end the game.
Yeah, and I think there's that one Baron steal. Outside of that, this was really dominant for Top Esports. You know, sure, Shaha got an early lead. That was about it. It just felt like, other than that big mistake, Top Esports found a lead and really pushed it forward, which is what we expect from how they play. This is an aggressive team. They are going to take this game and take it to a 1-0. And now for AL, oh my lord, what was that damage?
That was an unholy amount of damage. I will say, Chocho, We salute you for going down with an absolute banger of a fight, but that is Top Esports taking game 1 over Anyone's Legend. Big, big win there for them. And again, this is kind of to be expected. Like we mentioned, this is a very momentum-heavy based team in Top Esports, and Anyone's Legend, despite having their own early momentum, just couldn't get it to work. That one fight down a bot side kind of unraveled the game so quickly for them.
That's the thing with the Draven, is like the game becomes so central around him, right? And I did like the composition that Top Esports had. They managed to a comp that does snowball very effectively and has the tools to do so. But it just felt like, you know, that first fight, Jackie Love got like a minor lead. And then there was that fight you said, the one on the bot side, where he cashes in, actually didn't cash in, he just survived.
He just survived, and that was
and then he
difference.
just built up the stacks. He got a bunch of gold, suddenly cash in, boom. It's like that was the point where it's just over. And it's rough, right? I feel like, you know, you can definitely draw questions about the draft, but it just felt like Top Esports managed those skirmishes a lot better. And now the situation AL is in, they lose another game in the series, right? Whether it's this next one, or if they go to a game 3 and lose that one, they are just out of playoff contention completely. They will end their spring with the regular season, so everything on the line right now.
Yeah, I think that's the best way you can put it, is a lose and you're out. And I think as well, if they lose, we actually go down to 2 spots left for 3 teams. So RA should, if my math is correct, should be able to confirm their spot if they do end up losing this one. I will have to triple check that one there, but I'm 99% sure on that, as we look to see you know, where Anyone's Legend can take this. Because like you said, the draft felt okay. I did think that the set support was fine, but it was always going in at different times. Like Chocho was going in so deep, and then out of nowhere was just like, oh, I'm dead now, because no one was able to follow up. I feel like you need to combo that in with Forge, with Xiaohao, and maybe try and set that fight up a little bit cleaner here for Anyone's Legend.
The problem is, like, they were kind of in a situation where you want Betty on the back line, right? Just free hitting and kiting, but it doesn't really work because there's such good engage tools on Top Esports. And also, anyone Jackie of Auto just died. There was so much damage from this Draven. It was pretty insane, but it's one of those games where you just go, right, we messed up, they snowballed, it's cool, we go next, right? Don't get too hung up on the ifs and the buts and the whys and the wheres. Just say, we messed up, these are the critical mistakes we had. You know, maybe there were some things we could have done with the draft that would have favored us better. We go on the next one, and hopefully it goes smoother. Because at this point, AL, it's do or die.
It is. And, you know, as much as that is a very tried and tested saying, it is do or die. As we'll see now, we're going to set it to a break. When we return, we'll see if they do or if they die.
Before the start of spring, no one was optimistic about JDG. But now, they have become the dark horse of the split.
Voting. He's in trouble. You can't do that, Voting. As now Rich is going in. They're trying to find Hope, but Hope makes it out. Now he's firing on the back line. Needlework is going to go wide. Carson goes down. JDG have done it again.
Weibo Gaming has been dominant this season. And although they have stumbled recently, the beast lies in wait for playoffs.
Zoning them off with the AoE, a great hook from On again. Viper trying to get away, but SOFM follows into his death as One Fong is free. Byron and the Shy has joined back in to hit Flandre with the final piece of needlework.
3-6-9. Because of his unstable performance, he has been a controversial subject for a long time. But he has never missed any LPL playoffs since his debut, which is enough to prove himself.
我觉得他的话就是比较有实力，单人线比较强的一个选手嘛。和他对线的话，我觉得我注意好就是线上的细节就好。然后我们的话就是希望就是前面很积极的找节奏嘛。现在季后赛关键阶段，然后我们队伍的话就是想要赢下每场比赛。
Marvin's missing with the execution, and the Rockman wins out. 369 flying in from above. Tarzan off the wing though, trying to bring it back, but it's too late. JDG once again team fight kings.
The Shy has always been the ceiling of LPL top laners. Now, he pays more attention to the team, and his champ pool has become oh so deeper. No matter what champion the team needs, he can handle them perfectly.
그냥 다 할 줄 아니까 코치가 쓰고 싶은 거 쓰는 느낌. 나중에 다음 경기들은 팀원들이 기분 나쁠 일만 없었으면 좋겠어요.
throws him down low again. He should have sustain as he W flashes in as well. Slicing guys 1 versus 2. The Shy is a Gragas, but how much can he do as ZS runs back into the fray? The balance on first blood body slam, and Hacker can't follow it up. He don't have the flash.
Yagao is an indispensable player of JDG. As long as Yagao performs, JDG's victory is inevitable.
369 cancels his recall. He wants to fight this with Wolf. 5-minute time. Yagao flashes forward. That's going to be the juggler going down. Oh, the Chaos Storm gets it. Yagao goes huge here in out JDG.
It's impossible to make a breakthrough through Weibo Gaming's bot lane because Huanfeng is now at his peak form, and he continues to grow stronger and stronger and stronger.
我觉得我在队伍中的定位是打野帮，我就谁打野不帮我就稳住，然后想办法给队友制造环境。
As the LPL regular season has almost come to an end, this matchup will determine their positions in the playoffs. The duel between the Shy and 369 will take center stage as JDG vs Weibo Gaming kicks off.
There's a place I wanna go, 15 miles to the coast, where the sun always shines, right down on the borderline. Here in Barbados, Santa Domingo, Kingston, Jamaica, Trinidad and Tobago. Sitting here under the blue sky, people here don't ask why. The sun comes down every evening, oh, the sun comes up, we're believing. Here in Barbados, Santa Domingo, Kingston, Jamaica, Trinidad and Tobago. Lazy breeze in a sea of green, slipping on the sunscreen. Lazy breeze in an open sky, never wanna say goodbye. Here in Barbados, Santa Domingo, Kingston, Jamaica, Trinidad and Tobago. Here in Barbados, Santa Domingo, Kingston, Jamaica, Trinidad and Tobago. Oh, here in Barbados, oh, Santa Domingo, oh, Kingston, Jamaica, Trinidad and Tobago. Oh, 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 oh. Why do you speak on my name? Why do you treat me so bad? 'Cause I never made you feel like this. Why do
我感觉 AL 的打野就比较稳吧，然后就该干什么就干什么，比较偏向于稳定。下一场对战 AL 想要赢的话，感觉关键点就是下路吧，感觉他们 carry 他们赢的局都是下路 carry 的。春季赛的话，感觉没有打很久，然后就表现的话还行吧，一般吧。队伍的话，现在进入季后赛之后的话，就要改进的地方其实蛮多的吧，就是要打好节奏。
A lot to improve on, a lot of things to change, but a dub is a dub. Either way you look at it, we are back 1-1 to the LPL. We are coming into our second game of this one series day. Swear it was playoffs with how quick this was going, and we're going to be seeing now our MVP, who was just on your screens. TN picks himself up the MVP, because I'm being totally honest, despite the early flubs, he was very much a core component of how this team was able to win.
Yeah, huge in that bot side skirmish, able to continue the momentum, find those big picks. Obviously did have that smite, which was a bit of a mess, but looking past that, a solid game from him to deliver out the win.
Yeah, absolutely. And it all came from this bot side dive where he just picked and chose his moments, kept his ultimate for as long as he possibly could. And as soon as Betty was in range of being caught out, you can see immediately he gets himself right into the fray.
Yeah, and I think, honestly, the whole team really operated well. I think particularly Mark gets praised for this fight, finding that dredge slide and then stop watching so the resets don't come in. And that was really the thing where we just felt like Xiaohao, despite the early lead, never found the momentum. And one of the problems with the Viego is you're so good at cleaning up fights, right? You're so good at sort of getting resets and snowballing, but you really struggle when everyone in a situation like this is pretty much full HP.
Yeah, you just can't really get the same value that you normally would with the Viego, not getting those resets and causing that chaos in a fight where you're assuming you know who has what CC, and then all of a sudden it changes with a flick of a switch. And for Top Esports, it's a fantastic start for them. Like we said, they are still vying to be in a top 2 spot. They are still pushing themselves to as high as they possibly can in the playoffs, and a win here today could be huge in those endeavors.
100%. This is really a way for them just to further solidify their place in playoffs, look to contest those sort of higher seeded spots. But the critical thing is AL, last chance, right? They lose this, they are out. They have one loss less. That's the only possible way they can make playoffs is by winning every single series. So if they lose this next game, or even if they lose this in a 2-1, they will be out. So they absolutely need a big performance here. Be interested to see what side they end up going on. The Jinx was banned away by them on the red side. I feel like them being on blue side, potentially trying to get Betty on it, could make a big difference. But ultimately, I feel like overall, draft felt sharper for Top Esports, right? I like the fact they got the Ari Hecarim. Gwen obviously really powerful on the top side. They had this snowbally bot lane to play around. And I really felt like despite good play from Xiaohao in the jungle, once they fell behind, it was just a sweep.
Yeah, it absolutely was. And I think, just wanted to correct myself slightly from what I said earlier in the day. RA do not lock themselves into playoffs if anyone's Legends do lose here. We had a quick look at the maths. My maths teacher, Ox, was able to kind of run through the numbers with me. And we figured out that they can technically still drop down below because they do not own the head-to-head against OMG, who have still yet to play a lot of their series. So still plenty to play for. But if anyone's Legend lose, it means we'll be 3 spots in playoffs with 4 teams left. You don't want to be Paddy last. You don't want to be the guy who didn't make it to playoffs, especially when you effectively had so much left to earn from it.
I feel like that puts RA in a pretty good spot, right? Because they are at the top currently of those 4 remaining teams. And the fact that there's 3 spots, 4 teams left, and you're at the top already, puts you in a pretty comfortable position. But again, not surefire, still trying to solidify things, and critically still a chance. That's crazy that anyone's legend at 5-8 still in with a shot. I feel like it's been a situation where very late into the season, even teams like WE, TT were still able to make playoffs if they had some super miracle run. And that's kind of what AL looking at here, that super miracle run. All the stars have to align. But again, it comes down to this game. I want to see adaptations in the draft. I want to see them potentially look to secure that Jinx for Betty.
Yeah, honestly, I think if it's not banned away, they need to try and get it into his hands. But this time around, we jump straight into picks and bans. The Draven taken off the board here as anyone's Legends say, look, we just can't deal with the snowball anymore, and we do not want to see that in the hands of Jackie Love again.
Yeah, and I think it's fine ban, right? Because you don't want to deal with it. You're not, it's not something you're picking yourself, so it's not like you're denied anything from your own side, like the Jinx in the last draft. And it obviously was problematic. So they are on blue side now, so they have the potential to first pick Jinx if the draft goes the way they perhaps would want it to be. I don't think they'll ban an AD carry here. Could look towards, you know, I say the Jace, but honestly, banning the Jace just means that the Gwen pickup is easier for top esports. They instead go for the Renata. I'm sure if the priority is too high on that. We've seen some teams dabble with it, some successes, some failures. Top esports is where it gets interesting, right? You could ban the Jinx here and deny it. Does mean that anyone's legend would likely just take the Aphelios, or you could just be happy with the standard trade we see.
Standard trade. The Renata is an interesting one, like you said. Just very curious to see where they maybe thought they were going to go with the draft here from Top Esports. But the Lee Sin has been banned away here. Now anyone's legend. They could just first pick the Jinx. And honestly, I don't see a reason why you shouldn't. It's literally his most played champion. This will be the 18th time this season we have seen anyone's legend play this.
Yeah, and it's weird for them, right? I feel like if they're going to pick something to get themselves over the line, it would be that Jinx for Betty. Gotta see how the pieces will come together for the rest of the lineup. Top esports, you know, we often see jungle AD carry on this rotation. The Aphelios is still available, still an option, right? They're actually leaning towards the Ahri again for Knight, and Knight has been a solid performer on that. So if they have to secure the AD carry now, the reason you tend to see them secure the AD carry now, you might be thinking, oh, but anyone's legend already have the AD carry, they can just leave it till third. If you leave it till third, you then are kind of pigeonholed in, right? You don't get much flexibility to counter what AL have taken, which is why you tend to see here. But they could, obviously, they can go for support, they can go for jungle. There's a lot of options in this situation, but I think the safest thing is just lock that Aphelios in.
Yeah, lock it in. Make sure you're getting yourself a decent matchup in the bot lane. Knight was pretty solid on the Ahri in the mid lane, so no reason to change that one out there. And Xiaohao, he was grand. Again, it wasn't the issue. Wasn't the Xin or the Viego and that. It was just how they were able to play around it. And now anyone's legend, they're thinking about where they want to try and take their drag. I do love the fact that they can go towards this Rise. Again, very powerful pick and was banned in our last game.
Yeah, and talking about the idea of picking up the Viego again, they will take it. So I like it with the Rise, right? Rise has like any pressure to provide. You're obviously going to have Prio into the Ahri, and then you have that route you can put a single target. If you can lock down that target and take them down, there's the reset, there's where it comes in. Top esports, potentially looking at this out. I wouldn't be against the Hecarim again here, but potentially they want something a little less vulnerable, right? Remember last game we saw Tian heavily invaded early, right? Because there was mid priority. There's going to be mid priority again this game, right? Because of the Rise. So I think Tian does want to potentially be a point of vulnerability, and we'll just take that Xin Zhao now. Top esports, I feel like Tom Kench is probably a solid ban away. We've seen that sync really well with the Jinx. I feel like the anyone's legend, the Gwen, the Jace, definitely things they could potentially look towards banning. We'll see what they end up going for.
Yeah, see what they end up going towards. Tam Kench also springs to my mind as well of something you want to try and maybe take away from the side of anyone's legends. Chocho does prefer the engaged supports, does love going ham at all times, but is going to be an interesting setup now. And you've got a lot more scaling, a lot more safety, I feel like, with anyone's legend right now. The Rise is going to be able to build tanky. You've got the Jinx, which we know how powerful she can be, and more and more times than not, we do tend to see the safer, you know, easier to execute composition coming out on top.
Yeah, and I think, you know, the range as well is such a massive factor with the Jinx in this composition. If top esports can't get on top of the Jinx, can cause problems. That's why the Tom Kench is such a big ban. We will see that taken away. Actually going for the Thresh for anyone's legend, so a bit interesting. I feel like, you know, top esports can just take support here if there's something they're particularly leaning on. The Nautilus often we see is the sort of highest prio support. They could go a variety of directions. Looks like they might just lean towards that one, especially as those two big safety net champions in the Thresh and the Tom Kench aren't available. Really just does make him stand out. For AL, I feel like there's, you know, you could take the Jace yourself as something that offers a lot of power. I wouldn't be too against that. It gives you two strong side lanes you can play towards. You could just go for something safer for ZDZ. The Leona is the standard trade-off with the Nautilus that we see time and time again.
Yep, the reason why we see it is both of them do very well at stopping the other ones engaged. It's generally how we're going to see it. It becomes more of a skill check of who could be better. But anyone's legends hard pivoting away from that, and they're going for the Camille. So going for a little bit of a different setup here. And honestly, I want to see Wayward on the Jax right now. I think pick up the Jax, go for that 1v1 in the top side, and just give yourself a way to kind of, you know, keep ZDZ down.
Yeah, I mean, there are obviously picks that you can take in the Camille that crush in the side lane, right? The likes of the Fiora is something that's a good matchup later on, the Jax as well. I really like the Camille here, though, into the Ahri specifically, because it makes it so hard to team fight for Knight, right? You get jumped on by the Camille, really not much you can do to outplay that. and he is just going to lock in the Jack. So one of the match in the side lane. On top of that, you got to think about anyone's Legend's damage profile, right? It's probably going to be a tank rise in the mid lane, right? And then you have 3 auto attackers. So Jack's going to have a ton of value in those team fights at being able to just soak up damage. There won't be much magic damage. Your ult obviously gives you a ton of armor because it gives you more armor the more AD you have. So the Jack's going to be a pretty strong pick. But overall, I feel like anyone Legend have fared pretty well in the draft. They have a lot of pressure coming out that mid lane because of the rise. And if they can snowball either side lane, particularly Betty on the Jinx, I could see them running away with this one.
Yeah, absolutely can do. And this is going to be a very, very interesting setup here now for anyone studying. Like we said, they have to do or they die. They have to win this game to keep this series alive. And for top esports, like you mentioned earlier, this win here will put them up to 10-5, brings them right up alongside the LNGs, the RNGs, the Weibos. Maybe not quite as close to V5 as they may have hoped they could have been, but nevertheless, it does get you forward into the playoffs. Like we mentioned, it's a single elimination into a double going into spring playoffs. So the further up the table you are, the less best of fives you have to play. And honestly, the less tired you're going to be because we're going to have a very condensed schedule because we got to also not only get the playoffs started and all the many series that we have for that, but we also have to finish the LPL split because we got delayed games as well.
Yeah, so a lot of things to get through. And I think as well, like you say, top esports look for those higher spots. I think they're just happy to have made playoffs. There's a point in the split towards the start where I was thinking, are they even going to make it, right? Scoreline was very rough at the start, but in a confident position, looking at potentially trying to close this one out for a 2-0. And Wayward, who we have praised so heavily throughout this season on the Jax into the Camille, massive potential for him to carry this game.
Huge potential, and we'll see if that potential is realized. We are jumping on the Rift for the second time today. Could be the last, could be the penultimate. We'll have to wait and see as the psychological warfare has already begun on the top side.
Yeah, always fun. I don't think it's going to be as aggressive as we saw last time round when...
Sorry, just he sounded like a war veteran with like a 1,000-yard stare. It's like, oh, it's fun. And she's like, we're all having fun here, aren't we?
I'm just gonna say I'm not the best top laner, and I always find it can be so frustrating sometimes when you get things like the Gwen just running you down just across the entire jungle that we saw last game. That would kind of bother me a little bit, I'm just gonna say. But we do have ZDZ with the Ignite. We often see things like the Camille who have that safety net in the hook shot, don't need flash, and the Ignite is going to give a bit of reprieve in the 1v1. It means Wayward can't apply as much pressure as he'd like in the early levels because that Ignite will turn things in ZDZ's favor. Nothing too crazy on the rest of the map, but we do see, interesting enough, Xiaohao starting on the bot side. So be interested to see what path he takes and where it ends up resulting him being. But ultimately, I would have expected him to want to lean towards the spot side, but there is still definitely potential to make things happen top. And if you get this Camille ahead, she could be such a monster.
Oh, we'll have to wait and see as the top laners are going to just pretty much slap noodles for the first few levels until they actually get some serious stats behind them, and then this fight can really begin. It is Ignite on ZDZ's Camille, so he's going to have that little bit of an extra combat summoner going off into this game. And right now, where do you want to see the side of anyone's letting go for? We have got Xiaohao back onto the Viego. Where do you want to see him focus as we kind of come into these early few stages?
Honestly, I would be a fan of Forge getting like an early bounce, right? Being able to get a cheetah recall, pick up a tier, get back in the lane, and then when Knight is forced to overextend, that's when you look for a gank, right? The Kafriat Chocho from the bot lane, who already has priority, if they can kill Knight and put him behind Burner's flash, that will set the game in a really comfortable spot because it just means he wouldn't even be able to attempt to match the roams of Forge. So I feel like you can often win the game by winning mid, and I feel like this is absolutely the case here. So pressure there is where I'm really looking.
Let's see. The early stages as Wayward will land his counter-strike onto ZDZ. Get themselves a bit of a push. Both junglers starting on opposite sides of the jungle. The red buffs for both of them means they are going to see the Viego towards that top side first. And of course, Tien with Xin Zhao on the bottom lane. Gotta be careful in bot lane. We did see it last time. They made a focus that both these junglers were able to put in. Specifically, Tien was able to hover down here so effectively and really make himself a nuisance. So, wait to see where these junglers do decide most of their time shall be, or where they decide their time should be given. Is anyone's legend? They seem to be, honestly, they're trading quite effectively right now in terms of the top side, and Wayward is running out of potions.
Yeah, I mean, just have the biscuit still, but might actually be in trouble. He is precarious. Remember, there's an Ignite on the Camille. Scary situation to be in. We'll just back away and obviously just have that TP to get back. For now, though, Tian, he's already picked up the bot side scuttle. Will go top, but won't contest there. So likely loop round towards his Krugs. And bot lane played it pretty well. So Betty and Chocho got nearly shoved. Then they let the wave bounce back towards them. So even though we saw Tian pathing towards bot side, nothing was to be found, right? Because they were just waiting for the wave to crash. It does mean they get some damage on the tower. They're falling a little bit behind in CS, and Betty's getting poked. But at least they aren't getting ganked, which is the main thing. I say at least, but they're actually getting harassed quite heavily now.
Big pressure point you're able to get. You know, usually when we see that early push, it is to go back, get enough gold to maybe buy yourself a cull, make yourself a little bit more of a nuisance here. As we see both junglers, unbeknownst to each other, very, very close proximity to each other in this top side. As now we see ZDZ going to be hitting there with the counter strike, as he does have the hook shot, wall shot, but not quite able to land the last strike there from TN. But now with the Viego here, this is going to be a full 2v2. They land the stun on TN, who's forced to flash away as the ignite has been ticking. Both top laners and junglers will escape with their lives, but it is definitely a summoner trade up for anyone's legend.
Big thing here, though, is that AL get the crash. That's where it was kind of precarious. That's why you needed Xiaohao there, because there was such a big wave stacked up for ZDZ. You needed to be escorted in. Otherwise, you're just so vulnerable, right? They can be frozen against you as well. They get the crash, though. The ignite makes such a difference to the 2v2, but also the fact that Wayward committed his counter-strike, right, to try and set up the play. Didn't have that tool available for the fight. And I feel like that's such a pivotal aspect of the top lane 2v2, right? Everyone's auto-attack based. The fact that the E can ignore that gives you so much power. But so some okay moves from AL so far. We haven't seen too much action yet. I'm still looking towards mid lane, seeing if AL can find that pressure advantage. And the level 6 of the Realm Warp for the Rise is the big thing, right? Being able to move to the sides, basically at a whim.
Able to move to the sides, being able to get that basically point and click CC. There is an important ward there, just might be able to spot out Xiaohao if he decides to try and go for a lane gank. But no, he's deciding instead he's going to go the opposite side. So we don't have good vision on exactly where he is. Not great guns here for the Aphelios. We'll be able to land the Gravitum and get a decent amount of harassment. But outside of that, nothing else going to be going in this bot side. And we haven't seen either jungler really affecting the mid lane or the bot lane. Definitely have them, as you said, looking towards the top side a little bit more. Boat level 6 is going to be hit now here for ZDZ and Wayward. Wayward a little bit further ahead in that regard. And I got to say, ZDZ, despite having a lot of pressure on him, he is trading very effectively and keeping himself very relevant in this game.
I mean, that's the thing, is that the early matchup from the Jax is manageable, right? Because you can just dodge away from his counter-strike. You can go for some snappy trades around your shield. It's really later on where it becomes problematic because the Jax counter-strike becomes quite a low cooldown as well. And it's just so hard to find windows really to trade onto him. Jax obviously scaling pretty effectively in the side lane. Not as good in the team fights, but as a Camille, but pretty solid in this game. I will say Xiaohao, what I've liked from him so far is he's not trying to force ganks. He's not trying to overstep. He knows he has some strong scaling elements, but he's just escorting waves in for his laners, right? He's ensuring that they can be comfortable, they can be safe, they're not going to get ganked themselves, while also just farming up pretty solidly himself. Level 6 is where you see the matchup spike a bit more in his favor, right? Because pre-6, Xin Zhao, one of the strongest junglers in skirmishes, whereas Viego, you kind of want that ultimate that has just come up and is now available. And it basically just means that you can get those resets. You can jump out when you use the passive and use your ult again. Now, kind of sad here. We actually saw Wayward secure the red. So kind of telegraphed for the team. I'm taking their red. You secure mine so they don't get anything.
Yeah, I was just about to say, nice coordination there from Top Esports to say, look, we got the dragon. We know he's just going to leave this one up, so he's going to try and invade on my top side. Please take away that objective from him, so that is going to give us a little small advantage. Nothing too much to be talking about as we get Wayward, who'll have a little bit of extra sustain and harassment power now in this top side. And the Jax is always going to love that for himself.
100%. And that's the thing. It just means that these trades, unless you're fighting an all-in for ZDZ, it's not really going to be too impactful, right? Because you can just heal up with the wave again. And level 6 hit obviously allows really good setup for AL if they want to try and make a play top side. But this has been a very slow-paced early game so far. Herald up and available, though. And it looks like bot lane, Top Esports have prio. So what I'd kind of like to see is if they can crash this wave in, we get Mark moving up towards the Herald off a reset. And then after that, they can easily look to take this Herald on the back of that. And we see Mark walking up there, not even going to reset initially. He's heading straight over to the Herald. And it's kind of signaling, right, we're going to have members there first. Chocho is still bot lane. He's going to start moving now. but Tian has the signal, right? We can start this objective. We know we'll have the numbers in time.
I think that's the big thing. Like I said, it is just basically saying, look, we're going to get the early objectives. There's nothing you can do. As I say that, you see in the minimap, the Viego and the Rise are roaming up, but the numbers advantage, like you talked about, is still in favor of top esports. You're too late on the rotation. You cannot go for that fight. So therefore, it's going to be 2 global objectives going over to top esports. It's a very similar style to what we saw in game 1. Without those early kills, without the early skirmishing happening from anyone's legend, it does feel like top esports are the ones suffocating them out.
Yeah, it really does. And it's just good moves, right? Picking up that dragon when you have the opportunity, getting the herald. And I want to see where this is going to get put down. Obviously, something we talk about a lot is the 2-plate play mid, where you just put it down, you get 2 plates. It means the second herald will potentially just take it completely. I kind of like that one, especially when against the Rise, because if the Rise does look to roam, you can punish. But we saw last game, they really invested resources into Jackie Love. And again, he's already taking a plate on the bot side, so there is potential to take that whole tower if you look down towards there. Like, a little bit of work has been done early. See where they look to prioritize, though. But ultimately, this is top esports window to really crack open the game and look to snowball it.
2 minutes is where we're going to see where they want to go for it. They will have the Rift Herald in hand for at least a minute and a half of that. See now Knight looking for, see if he can maybe catch a sneaky charm, as the rest of his team was off at the bottom side of the river, but not to be done. And now you talked about how we wanted to see that, you know, the junglers, or from Xiaohao specifically, he's been very muted and hasn't really been kind of making stuff happen. And speaking of making stuff happen, it doesn't look like TN going to be comboing up here with Mark, but a solar flare on the 2 people is fantastic. And Chocho as well, just playing bodyguard, very nicely mitigated here from Anyone's Legends bot lane.
Yeah, it's a good combo from Jackie Love, right? The ult for the Calirum, you then get the auto, you then get the root. But a nice move from Chocho to block it. They are looking for the Herald on the bot side, but AL don't want them to get any more than just those 2 plates.
Yep, charm lands, and the plates shall go down. It's going to be Shelly doing the bare minimum of her job, as the side of Anyone's Legends recognize the play. They get themselves into a good position. Now Tien walking up here and trying to put himself into a position. They're not leaving this bot lane just yet, as Wayward in a lot of trouble now. I think ZDT does win this. He's going to have to flash away the hook shot, wall shot, not quite there. There's the lead strike. Never mind. Wayward gets the 1v1. That's exactly what we said we wanted to see from him.
Critically waits for the cooldowns, right? Manages to gain some distance with the flash and then re-engages on ZDZ. The hookshot didn't come soon enough. ZDZ didn't have the empowered Q stacked up. And I think that's the thing. Those short bursty trades really strong for the Camille, and the extended one that Jax wins out. And now he's just going to hammer away at the tower. Picks up 2 plates for his trouble in a really strong position right now.
Have a look at the replay here, and this is gonna be straight up a 1v1, but look at Wayward. He knows that he hasn't taken turret aggro, so he's able to keep himself alive. I feel like if he takes even 1 shot from that, he's just gonna die.
Yeah, and CDZ wanted to get, you need another rotation of your empowered Q to kill him. The critical thing there is that Wayward, like, he sees his counter strikers down, he thinks that's a window to go in. Absolutely is, but the problem is with the ultimate from Jax, just so bulky, you get so much armor. He's only really doing damage with that second Q, and just doesn't get the cooldowns in time. Now has a Blade of the Rune King in pocket, so things have gone from bad to worse for that top lane matchup.
He really has. The Xiaohao does get himself stunned up as Chocho and Forge say, look, top esports, we're not going to allow you just to kill us off by taking all these objectives, and we're going to force the dragon to reset. And no TPs available really until 14 minutes, so you got to say this is going to be a 4v4. Dragon has been started once again. Chocho does land himself the Scryer's Bloom off to the wrong side of the map. So this is just going to be top esports a little bit delayed. They will eventually pick up this objective. As good attempt there from Betty.
Let's kind of take stock of the game now, because we're 12.5 minutes in. I think the big thing for me is how unimpactful this Rise has been. Kind of highlighted, it would have Prio in the mid lane, it'd be able to roam with the Realm Warp. None of that has happened, right? Really inactive. And that kind of means AL are in a sort of lull point, right? Because the Camille is definitely going to be powerful in team fights. The fact you can ult Knight is great. Betty, we've talked countless times about this guy on his Jinx. Stella in the team fights again. But I kind of wanted to see them accelerate a bit. Right now, it's top esports who have the pressure. Wayward is in a really strong position in this match up top because he has that Blade of the Rune King completed. He will absolutely crush ZDZ with that spike. Remember, this has been buffed. It's now 12% current, 12% HP on the passive, so really scary. And I just feel like this is top esports' opportunity to keep applying pressure.
Well,
like,
top esports, just ZDZ needs to run. You need to run away, sir. You cannot stay in this lane. And this is why we see the Jacksons and the Camille so damn often, because you can just do things like that.
Yeah, and the thing is, he kept the wave frozen for a fair bit. It's obviously going to bounce back now. But ZDZ was just in such an uncomfortable position trying to set up for that. And now, your top lane's winning. Xiaohao showed up to try and help. Your bot lane is exposed.
Your bot lane is very exposed. Get the minions going in. They're going to have to use the TP. That's going to be the Rise joining in, but the Jinx is already dead. They're going to find Chocho as well. Maybe even get the Rise, but he already realm warps himself out as quick as he was in. He needed to get out. Tower, 2 kills, job done.
Yeah, and that's a realm warp used. First realm warp of the game to watch the bot lane play go down and piece it. Not exactly the best usage of it. Not exactly what we're looking for out of the Rise. So Top Esports, 4,000 gold up so far. 2 dragons in pocket. It seems reminiscent of that game 1, except at least in game 1, there was some early momentum for AL, and we can rewatch the dive. I mean, the ult for the Nautilus comes out to set it up. What can you actually do here?
Yeah, again, Tien is just tanking up the turret the entire time alongside Mark. It's just such an easy to win situation for Top Esports, and now they're 3,000, actually 4,000 gold up, excuse me. And Knight saying, look, I know you've no magic resistance. I have an Everfrost. This could be a very perfect opportunity as Top Esports now looking to try and maybe make something work around this Rift Herald. Now Knight with the full chunk on the ZDZ. Poor ZDZ, man. No matter who comes up here, he's going to have a bad time.
He's like, oh, guys, it's fine. I'm against Knight now instead of Wayward. And then he just gets chunked down. He's like, never mind.
Yes. All right. I'll be back later. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, does have the TP if he wants to join in this situation. AL really want this second Herald.
I mean, Wayward has a TP as well. You got to remember, there's still an Ignite and ult available for Knight as he goes back up the back end of the Baron pit. There's the TP coming in. That's going to be Wayward first to join. And they're going to get the Camille in off of the back of that as well. Here we go. It's going to go down. And then who's going to be able to secure it? I think it was actually stolen away. No, it wasn't. Top Esports end up getting it at the end. And now it's a split fight as Forge tries to take the 1v1 versus Wayward, who gets saved by the Blast Cone. And that's 1 kill, 2 kill, make it 3. This game is all Top Esports all the time. And there's nothing that anyone's legend can do.
And AL, you know, they posture for the Herald, but they're so far behind. They try and look for it. They get absolutely crushed. Remember, their composition, so much momentum afforded. If you can get that first kill, you can get the Jinx, get excited, you can get the Recess to Viego. They never found it. Still yet to get a kill. Top Esports, they get the Herald, get top lane tower. They'll take mid as well. And this game has just been blown wide open.
Game's blown wide open. This game is a 7,000 or 6,500 gold lead now for Top Esports. We have the 16.5 minute mark. Let's have a look at the replay here, because again, it's just Top Esports picking and choosing their targets very well.
Yeah, and I mean, Forge does a good job of chunking out Wayward, but it's kind of irrelevant because Wayward is not really privy to the rest of the fight. Chocho gets deleted. Anyone who steps close, Top Esports just gets absolutely minced. And yeah, there's just no real momentum to be found. The only person who really ended up low was Wayward, and it just was irrelevant. And now, Medjai's for Knight, 3-0-2 on the Ahri. You know, it's now 6,000 gold lead in favor of Top Esports at 17 minutes. It's even more extreme than last game.
It is getting to become a little bit tough to watch. I'll also say MVP for the last fight has to be the Blast Cone there from Wayward. Being able to knock back Forge and ZDZ from killing him off after he had been chunked out is pretty damn incredible in that regard, as Forge and Chocho with Xiaohao trying to make this one work. The Charm will miss, but Spirit Rush has come out. There's the Everfrost on top of the Solar Flare. Can they even get a kill here? Yes, they can! It shall not be a perfect game from Top Esports, but they shall not care for the moment. Xiaohao getting himself the Charm, so making sure that they're not getting taken apart, and they back themselves away.
Nice Medjai, by the way, Knight. Really getting you value for money on that one.
Fun fact, the Medjai Soul Stealer isn't actually the book. The book is an amplifying tone. The actual Medjai Soul Stealer is the eye that is coming out of the book.
Wow. Well,
so people saying putting pages into your book makes no sense as per the book.
Putting eyeballs into your book. There you go.
Souls, Ox. You know it. It's a soul stealer.
There we go. Well, all the souls have escaped. Pretty unfortunate for Knight, but ultimately doesn't feel too impactful. I like the play. I said this last game as well. AL know they can't contest on the same side as Top Esports, so they go cross map. They get a tower. They get a kill. But the problem is that's 3 dragons to Top Esports. They also got a tier 2 bot, which is so much gold. Just look at the matchups across the board. Look at the 80 carries. 20 cess lead, 2-0-2, right? Massive item advantage. Top lane is just getting crushed. And it's now, the timer has been started. We have 4 minutes 40 until Infernal Soul. I'm gonna ask a rhetorical question. Are AL gonna be ready to fight in 4 minutes 40? Probably not. Probably no. Probably just a flat no chance.
Rhetorical. That's why I wasn't
It's
answering.
rhetorical, and I answered it anyway.
That's why I was gonna leave you up there and be like, all right, it's rhetorical. But are they ready to fight Wayward? The answer is, in fact, yes. And Wayward has to flash himself away over the wall. So in 4 minutes' time, we'll not have that cooldown. Actually, man, we probably will, actually. Okay, so never mind. He probably will actually have that cooldown, as I realized.
Unless he has Cosmic, I feel like he wouldn't.
He's got a Kindle gem. Gives him a little bit of ability haste.
He doesn't affect summoners, though. Come on, Ashin.
Does it not?
No. Ashin.
I know.
This is what I'm here for. Keep you straight.
Yeah. Keep me on the straight and narrow in his forge. He's going to go for it. Here comes the Realm Warp to do absolutely nothing just to get himself into a bit of a position. Now we can actually fight as Betty finally get himself onto the backside of this fight. He drops down the traps, but they do nothing to stop this Jax from jumping all over your face. It's going to be the double kill for the Jax, and that's going to be the full ace for one. You had to go for something. It had to be a miracle play, but that miracle is not happening. Top Esports take an even more commanding lead. They'll even take the big purple worm.
Yeah, it's going to spawn just about in time. Any later, and maybe AL would have been able to get a contest. And they're just going to pick it up. Yeah, I mean, this is looking rough. This is looking rough, I think, is all I can say. And I'm going to remind you guys, if AL loses, they cannot make playoffs. Absolutely. They go for this aggressive play. They're like, we are going to kill Jackie Love. That is our goal. That is our purpose. And they dive in onto him. They actually managed to find him, but they just don't have to follow up the rest of the fight. I think is the critical thing.
He auto-attack him
I don't know, dude.
It was just like he was totally within range, and he just randomly decided, you know what, instead of hitting Shaquille or anything like that, I hit a minion. That was like off by Rise or something. It was very, very strange. But yeah, I thought anyone's Legends mascot was a panda, but it's actually a dog, because this is rough for them coming into this game. And
oh my God.
It's my last opportunity to
I give you credit for creativity, right? That one got at least like a
got a chuckle out of you. It got a chuckle out of you. Well, Betty's gonna now find himself between Wayward and a hard place, as the traps should be able to lock him out, as they're going to be able to try and maybe make this fight work. ZDZ looking to see if he can make something happen on the backside. You haven't even got the Aphelios joining in just yet, as he is 1v1ing Forge. That is your tank Rise going down alongside the rest of your team. ZDZ getting taken as well. It's a double single. Lots of different chips being picked up there by Top Esports, and they're going to be able to get themselves a full ace, the clean game. It was near perfect from Top Esports in game 2.
It's gonna be a short day, Sheen, is all I'm saying, right?
We got any plans? Do you want to do something? Or we got a whole afternoon.
I have one more time penciled in for this series. It looks like Top Esports have somewhere to be, something to do. They are not hesitating on this one. Now, they are going to be spawning time to potentially defend. Top Esports going to take bot and mid inhibitor. I think after that, why risk it, right? Dragon up in a minute. There's going to be that Infernal Soul. They are just going to take it slow, but man, it is a 13,000 gold lead at 22 minutes.
22 minutes. I honestly, I would love to see the gold for Mark to see like who's even higher than him.
You know what's worse? This last game was a Draven. Like the gold was inflated, right? In that factor. Here, there's no Draven. If Jackie Love just stands in front of the Rise and kills him, yep, spectacular. And Tian here was so aggressive, he just knows no one can really deal with him now. AL are trying to fight, but good luck.
You got to do it. You got to try something. But Knight has found Betty on the backside of this fight. There's 2 kills straight off of it. 3, 4, maybe even 5. That's a triple kill going over to the side of Jackie Love. And yeah, this game is done.
If you let the minions swarm in, you lose. If you let them get Infernal Soul, you lose. You have to try and fight. It doesn't work. And sadly, we saw some real upswings from AL. We saw them against EDG and IG look positive, but this will be the end of their playoff, potential playoff run. There's no chance of them making it at this loss. Top Esports, zero hesitation. They crushed this series.
Yeah, I think that's the only way to put it. It was decimation, demolition, other words that mean similar things that begin with D, and this was just Top Esports putting down the smackdown onto Anyone's Legend. And sadly for Anyone's Legend, you're out of playoffs. You will play your last 2 series, and then it's it. You're done. There's nothing else you can really do about it. You had a good run. Does mean, though, for top esports, they catapult themselves up to 10-5 wins. They put themselves, I believe, just underneath LNG on game scores. They got themselves +5, LNG of +7. So they are all the way up there onto top 5. And this is a team that is bit by bit, slowly but surely, showing themselves to be a very, very real threat in the championship race.
And I'm just going to preface this. A lot of people probably looked at the series and went, AL are like 12th, top esports are like 6th. Obviously, top esports are going to win. I would suggest you check out some of the earlier games this week. We've seen so many upsets.
Look at last weekend and you'll sort yourself out.
We've seen so many upsets of top teams across the board, right? I feel like every team who's been locked in the playoffs has just dropped games against teams you wouldn't have expected. Even top esports, right? Dropped that series recently, which was a surprise to me. When they went up against, it was IG, right? Lost 2-1.
Yes, 2-1 to IG.
Yeah, so it's kind of refreshing to have a series where they just show why they're a top team, right? Why they had such a long win streak, why they are looking hype coming to the playoffs. Because that really just didn't feel close. The fact that game 2 was less close than game 1, and game 1 was just, an insane
an accelerated Draven. Like, it's it tells you everything about it.
There was the Baron steal, there was the early plays from how that went well, but game 2 was just like, you could just feel the hope being crushed out of them.
They were just being suffocated out. It was like, we are better than you. There's nothing you can do about this. And the scary thing is for top esports, Wayward, honestly, such an incredible top lane talent in all senses of the word. It feels like this guy is the real deal and has been able to just like push himself so far forward. Knight hasn't been the focal point, but it's still Knight. It's still one of the best mid laners we have in the league. The fact that throughout this entire team, you're looking at exceptional players in every single role. They are going back to the tried and tested trident of top esports that we know about it, whether it's threat in top, threat in mid, threat in bottom. You have to deal with all three.
And I gotta say as well, someone who looked really good this series was Mark. We saw him get substituted in later on. He has been performing really well. I think particularly that game 1, there was a fight where he found that flawless dredge line on a Betty, and then also the stopwatch to deny the resets. I just feel like this top esports, we've said this countless times when they went on the big winning streak. It really feels like they've come together. The IG series was a bit of a blip. This feels like the form we expect from them. They're gonna playoffs playing like this. They should be delivering.
Yeah, they should absolutely be delivering. And this is a team that I'm very, very excited for. They put themselves up into 5th place. They're now 10-5 with +5 game score. They have an opportunity now. I believe their last game is against, I'm going to triple check that one now. It is against LGD. So again, this is a team that should arguably be going up to 11-5. We expected them to go 12-4 because they dropped against IG, but that's neither here nor there. And you could just see across the board, it's just Wayward, Knight, Shakulov, all doing about 12 to 15,000 damage each. And when you have the stability of TN and Mark just setting up plays, making sure that they're in the right positions at the right time, this team just looks so good.
And I think what's crazy is you look at the gold graph, never really in favor of AL, 120 gold at most. But also when you look at the...
that might have been a camp that he got to slightly faster. Like
when you look at how it carries along, there's no massive like dips on the other side, right? There's a couple of moments where we saw like, AL get like a pick or one of two. Or AL would like pick up some waves when top esports were resetting, but there was no like massive throw. The Baron mistake that happened in game 1 wasn't apparent here. This was just very controlled. They really crushed them. And it's the sort of gameplay that we want to see more from top esports, right? We want to see that aggression that we know them for, but also have it sort of tethered so they're not going too far. Because that's, I feel like, where sometimes we see them falters when they overstep the bounds, end up going too deep, and then get punished for it. Here, it felt very tempered.
It did. It did feel very tempered, very controlled. Just good. I don't know any other way to put it. I think it just felt like this is a god thing. And I'm just so excited for our top 10 teams. I'm so excited for playoffs because right now it does feel like, apart from one or two very big favorites, it feels like everyone could beat everybody else. You can't really count out BLG. You can't count out RA. Top esports may be able to take down V5 on their day. This is how the thing goes. And we have gotten confirmation as well that we will be moving to 12.5 onto our playoffs patch. So this is going to be a very significant moment to see which teams hit the ground running, which teams get the meta in their head. And with the big changes going in bot lane, Jinx, Ophelio, Zeri, all getting nerfs on that patch, I honestly I cannot give you a clear favorite at who I think is going to be the top team coming into playoffs.
Yeah, we've also seen some changes with things like the Kaiser sort of being toyed with. You saw that picked up a couple of times. I feel like there's definitely potential for a shift to come through. And I think the thing with top esports is it feels like they have pretty solid, consistent lanes across the board. I think there's some teams where I'll give LNG as an example. I feel like Arla's been rough, right? I haven't had the most faith in him. So if the meta ended up shifting where top was the biggest priority, I'd be a bit tentative. I do think that Arla does better with resources, but even so, I feel like top esports, Wayward has been stellar since his addition. Jackie Love, and then Knight has really been on form so far this split.
Really has. And you know what else is on form right now? It is TN. TN is going to be our MVP for Game 2. Picks himself up another one. What else can we really say? The man was deathless and had 18 assists. He did exactly what he needed to do. He was the support. He was the staff of the Trident that let the 3 prongs do its damage.
Yeah, and there's a slow burn at the start, but really just finding these key windows in team fights. And often when a team is this far ahead, it comes down the jungler. We're going to see a lot of clips from the team fights, but really I think something he did exceptionally was finding those avenues, using having the team corral to him to pick up those early objectives, right? They once again got both Heralds and both the early Dragons and continued that trajectory throughout the game.
Yeah, this is a pretty good day for TN as he picks himself up plenty of accolades and praise. And when he's on things like this, and now again, this is a team, and we talk about the transformation of top esports. This was effectively a super team created at the start of the split. We look at some of these names, you know, world champion in TN. They actually had Zoom before Wayward, who was arguably one of the best top laners we had in the LPL, who's now currently not playing because Wayward is just that far and away better than him. And this is a team that can and has come together at the best possible moment.
For sure. And I think it's kind of crazy. They started the split off 2-4, right?
Yeah.
Was kind of where it was.
In.
Yeah. And I think at that point, we're just like, what is going on? Because the thing is, they have the talent, right? It felt like they had the talent of the paper. And that's the thing. They just weren't able to bring it to fruition. And I think the thing with the LPL, there's so many talented teams. EDG kind of struggling a bit at the moment. And obviously, having just won Worlds, exceptional roster. It really comes down to the team playing top esports. It feels like they found their groove.
They really have. They found their mojo, as old Munchables would say. But there it is. He said the thing. Anyway, we're coming out to the end of our day, so let's have a look at what happened. Because it was an incredibly quick day. We had 2 games that lasted all of less than an hour, and that was it, the 2-0.
Time flies when you're having fun. I think this is my quickest day ever, honestly. Yeah, so for those of you tuned in, that's what we got. Top esports, eating them out. And now AL no longer able to make playoffs. So, you know, you can see the ones that grade out towards the bottom. OMG, FPX, BLG, RA still fighting. There is 3 spots left available between those 4. So if you're a fan of any of those teams, chances are healthy for them overall, right? If we look at pure, you know, 75% of them will make it. But for OMG, they are definitely a little bit more in a precarious spot, right? They do have more series to play than the rest, but they absolutely need to make sure they're securing wins. Particularly the one that I want to highlight is OMG will eventually play against FPX, and that one will be super instrumental in trying to secure that. But for now, we look at tomorrow's matches. RA against JDG. RA desperately seeking these wins. JDG have made playoffs, but obviously looking for more. And then we have a bottom of all my words, man. Battle of the bottom of the table. Got it. I got it.
End all bouts.
Yeah.
This is going to be Team WE versus TT. Winner of that series is 16th.
Oh, that's actually huge, honestly. I feel like
I have to check the game score on that because I'm pretty sure TT's game score is like atrocious.
I think that game score is atrocious. I think even if they win that, they don't necessarily get 16th, but they'll be, you know,
it's all about principle. It's all about principle.
It's about pride, because that's the thing, right? If they beat WE, yes, they might be last in the league, but then they could say, hey, we beat them, therefore we're not the worst team in the league.
Exactly.
And
the circle of suck of
yeah.
LPL. I think we were talking about this a little earlier, that the circle of suck was done at like week 4 with how some of these teams were playing. But remember, number 9 is the magic number for playoffs, and a couple of teams still left fighting for it. Sadly, though, from today's results, anyone's legend shall not be seen in our postseason as Top Esports continue their ascension up the table. That is all the time we are going to have for today. I feel like we should have had more, but sadly, that's just how it is.
Hey, Top Esports were busy.
They were busy. They had things to do. Honestly, I'm going to go to the gym or something. I've got time to do it now. But Neither here nor there. Thank you so much to everyone behind the scenes. Thank you to everyone who watches this. And of course, Ox, thank you to you for guiding us through all of these fantastic
problem.
League of Legends as we come towards the end or the ending part of our regular season. We'll be back tomorrow at a slightly earlier time, but on the exact same channel. And we'll see you guys then.